TGIT, my friends. Been in here chatting since about 4:30 this morning. Who did I miss? Good morning, Mama B. Hello, Nana. Pat K. Hey. Slim Hauser. I got to go check out your video, Slim. I hear Slim put up something hilarious. As usual, Slim is hilarious. Good morning, Teddy Bear. Hello, Soulshine. Rexy. I see Tracy Michael. Or Tracy Michelle, I'm sorry. Renewed her membership. Hey. We have a members live on Sunday. And the Meet the Moderator is JTB. Hello, Avi. Amy in Boston, what is going on? Let me tell you what. We had a storm last night. Very, very, very high winds, which high winds we're used to in Oklahoma. We get high winds all the time. But this was so bad and the rain came down like buckets, they had to shut down the state fair. Now, let me tell you, it's a serious storm for them to shut down the state fair. Woo! That is sacrilege, man. My goodness. People all over Oklahoma were probably crying. They look all year. They look forward to the state fair and the OU Texas game. Yeah, I tell you what. You know some hearts were breaking when they shut down the damn state fair. I thought there was going to be a tornado, just me. I thought there was because I could hear the wind. All right, I think everybody is piling in here. I'm going to be petty for just a moment because on Monday we were talking about Summer Wells and she was part of the show yesterday. And there were a few people saying, we need a new case. You need to get off of Summer Wells. You need to quit talking about the Wells. Well, today we're not talking about Summer Wells. So where are you? Where are you? Isn't that a little crazy? Hello, Twisted Crime Scene. You just can't make people happy. You just can't. Swear, I ought to do a 24-hour Summer Wells marathon. Absolutely ridiculous. So let's take a second and tell everyone hello. Welcome your neighbor. All righty, here we go. Let me tell you what, over the years of following true crime, and since we've been doing it together, whether it's the Facebook groups, Discord, on this channel, we have come across some heartbreaking, crazy cases. Then you have some like this one that are flat out insane. Flat out insane. Let me speed us up a little bit. On the right on your screen, this is Claudine, went by Dee Dee Blanchard. On the left is her daughter, Gypsy Rose. From the age of 3 months, this woman was doctor shopping for her daughter. It started in Louisiana, and it continued when they moved to Missouri after Hurricane Katrina. She got a whole new bill of goods when she went to Missouri because she claimed that all of Gypsy's records were lost in the hurricane. Anywho, she would not take no for an answer, and she would never, ever believe that her daughter was healthy. She put her daughter through some of the most invasive, horrific, painful procedures you could imagine. She had people convinced that her daughter had leukemia, MS, had the mind of a 6-year-old, and I'm sure others. There's probably other things over the years she pulled. It is absolutely insane, not to mention the many agencies that were robbed. For one, the Make-A-Wish Foundation. They sent their asses all over the place. Concert tickets, Disney World. Here she is with a couple of celebrities. Habitat for Humanity in Missouri gifted them a house. Now, some people have asked for many years, why did the dad not do something? Well, for one, Gypsy was alienated from her father, but they are back in each other's lives now. He, like many, many other people, believed what Dee Dee was telling him, that he has a very sickly daughter. Well, push came to shove, and as Gypsy got older, she realized she's not sick. She knew she could walk. She knew that she had a normal functioning mind. And she met an old boy on the internet, and together they devised a plan to kill Dee Dee. And they did, which brings us to today's show. Because during the trial, Gypsy took a plea deal, which was supposed to get her 10 years. Now, I agree with Nancy Grace. Had she gone to a jury trial, I don't think they would have convicted her. I really don't. I think they would have acquitted her, but she wasn't willing to roll that dice. I get it. But now she has gotten early release. Yep, she will be out in December. So I can't see the poll. Where are we on the poll? Do you think she should get out early or serve the whole 10 years? You tell me. And yes, I have seen several of your comments. It's very odd. Look at Dee Dee there on the screen. Again, I'm being petty. And then look at Daisy from Crime Crazy Critter whatever on the farm. They could be twins. Look at that. Woo! They look like identical damn twins. Their voices even sound alike. Damn! Look at that again. There's Dee Dee. There's Daisy. If it wasn't for the fact that Dee Dee was dead, I would think that somebody switched lives. Woo, woo, woo. All right, let's get to it. Let's get to some of the backstory. This is a little bit of the psychology. This is from Psych2Go. And it explains what was done to Gypsy her whole life. Remember, from the age of 3 months, her mother was already making up stories about severe illnesses.
Meet Gypsy Rose Blanchard. On the surface, she was a girl bound to a wheelchair suffering from deadly illnesses in the care of her loving mother. Things were actually much different than it seemed. Behind the curtains, there was a tragic play, one that would eventually lead to murder. Gypsy was a victim of an abusive household. Her experience offers us a glimpse behind the curtains. What is the reality of living with an abusive parent? Let's explore her story. Beginnings of an illness. When she was only 3 months old, her mother, Dee Dee, began taking her to hospitals for checkups and tests. Convinced
This blows my mind. At 3 months old, she began taking her to the ER, and when she didn't get the answer she wanted, she would go to another and another and another. I can only imagine what her internet searches looked like. She lied about everything, not only her illnesses. She had Gypsy convinced she was much younger than she was. Imagine one year you're celebrating your 4th birthday, and then the next year you're celebrating your 3rd. Just imagine that. Talk about a mind F.
That she had sleep apnea. Even though the results were negative, Dee Dee refused to accept that her daughter was healthy. As Gypsy grew up, her mother convinced her that she suffered from various illnesses such as leukemia, muscular dystrophy, intellectual disability, seizures, and many more. She also caused her to undergo unnecessary surgeries and take medication that caused her to lose her teeth. A pediatric neurologist, Bernardo Flasterstein, suspected that Dee Dee was likely suffering from Munchausen by proxy, a mental disorder where a caregiver feigns illness in someone under their care for attention and sympathy. This disorder allowed Dee Dee to gain both attention and monetary gain from the donations she receives as a result of pretending her child was sick. And unfortunately, it's not uncommon for an untreated mentally ill parent to become abusive. A 2012 study showed that many abusive parents experienced mistreatment during their own childhood. Later on, they developed personality disorders and continued the cycle of abuse with their own children. Away from a helping hand.
This was all for donations. She was already a fraudster because she had used a relative's social security number to get credit cards in her name. There's also speculation about another relative's death that they think Dee Dee could have had a part in. And many doctors alerted CPS as to what they believed was going on. But when CPS would show up, they were greeted with what looked like a Tokyo telephone book full of medical records and a very weak and lethargic Gypsy talking about how sick she was. I can't believe it. And every time she was accused of this, and she was accused many times, she would go to another doctor she always had all the medical reports printed out. She would hand them straight over to the doctor.
To ensure she had Gypsy under her full control, Dee Dee kept her far away from her family's reach. She made Gypsy believe her father abandoned her, that he didn't care about her, and was having fun with his new family, far away from his daughter. In turn, this made it easier for Dee Dee to manipulate her daughter into believing her false reality. This strategy is often used by abusers in abusive relationships. Domestic violence researcher Claire Murphy wrote on her blog that isolation is a pivotal tactic used in order to weaken the victims, prevent them from hearing others' perspectives, and to bring them into line with the abuser's beliefs and requirements. Abusive parents might turn their children against other family members, keep them from seeing friends, or even restrict their phone access. The fake mask. Because Gypsy was isolated and manipulated, nobody really knew what was going on. In fact, when others looked at her room, all they saw was a loving, hardworking single mother who gave all she had to help her sick daughter. What was actually a selfish act of abuse on the outside seemed like the most selfless kind of love. Dee Dee was hiding behind a mask, the same mask that abusive parents often wear. According to the National Domestic Violence Hotline, it's common for abusers to hide their harmful behaviors in public. They play a nice role and act like saints when other people are around. But as soon as they're behind closed doors, the mask slips. This in turn makes the victim even more isolated and reluctant to seek help, too afraid that no one would believe them. The nightmare ends. In June 2015, Dee Dee tried to make Gypsy undergo another unnecessary surgery. But this time, Gypsy was the one who took control. When her mother was asleep, she let her secret online boyfriend, Nicholas Godejohn, into her house and led him to her mother's room. Gypsy hid in the bathroom while Nicholas killed her mother. Just like that, a once sick girl got out of her wheelchair, became an accomplice, and stepped out of that house forever.
Oh, she did. She did. She brought him down from Wisconsin. He took a Greyhound bus, went into Springfield, was at the house, and he did. This is Nick Godejohn. Now, he's got some issues of his own, all right? He certainly does. We'll get to Nick in a little bit. Now, he got life in prison. The DA would not seek the penalty because he said the case was so unusual. But he rolled the dice. I don't know that he was offered a plea. I have to look at that. But the emails between the two of them and what he did to cover up convinced the jury that he needed life in jail.
While Gypsy's actions were extreme and unacceptable, resulting in her being sentenced to 10 years in prison, we can also acknowledge the dire circumstances she found herself in that highlighted the need for those experiencing abuse to find a way out. While we don't condone what Gypsy did, we can use her story to help save others. If you're in a situation where your parents are abusive, please know that it's possible to find freedom. It's difficult when you're young and depend on your parents for things like money and housing, but one day you'll be able to get as far away as you'll want to, even having no contact if that's what you want. You'll start your healing journey far away from those who hurt you. Meanwhile, please take a look at the resources in the description box if you're in need of immediate help. Gypsy's now slowly learning to embrace her identity, her authentic self, free from her mother's influence. As she said in an interview with Dr. Phil, "My mother taught me how to be a very good liar, and I'm changing that. I'm trying to be a good person now. I don't want to be like my mother, and I'm nothing like her." Let her words remind you that your past does not define you. You have the power to continue the story your way.
So freaking disturbing. Now, she could have easily, instead of messaging with Nick, she could have easily called 911, gotten out of the wheelchair and said, "There's nothing wrong with me." And they would have had Dee Dee in jail and she would still be sitting in jail. And really the only answer to these problems when parents do this, and mainly it's women, hate to keep picking on my own gender, but mainly it's women, it's doctors have to be more alert. Even when someone comes in and they say, "Look, I've got everything printed out, here's the records," they need to talk to the other doctor when there is such extensive medical problems. She never, they would ask Dee Dee to leave the room so they could talk one-on-one with Gypsy, and Dee Dee would have a fit. Then she would almost drug her out of her mind before they would go to the doctor so she could barely talk. She was like a Jody Sue, like, mush mouth. And so she would have to be the one to talk for her. Let's go to more of the beginning of the story. This is from KYTV in Springfield, Missouri.
Number 1, on air, online, on the go. KY3 News at 6 starts now.
Things are not always as they appear. A lot of times we're deceived, and I think this might be the case.
Startling new developments in an already bizarre murder case in Springfield.
Gypsy Blanchard now charged with killing her mother, and a wide-ranging fraud scheme uncovered by investigators. It is a twisted story that's leaving family, friends feeling betrayed and wanting answers. From KY3 News, I'm Lisa Rose.
And I'm Steve Grant. Gypsy Blanchard, along with Nicholas Godejohn, are in Wisconsin tonight on $1 million bond, charged with stabbing Dee Dee Blanchard in their Springfield home.
The two made their first court appearance today in Waukesha, Wisconsin. Gypsy crying through the proceedings and shocking many of those who knew her because she was walking and not using a wheelchair.
She got right up. They were arrested in Wisconsin. They were hiding out. She's walking around fine. Imagine, these people were robbed. Now, I do have a question because I don't know about the statute of limitations. When she gets out in December, can she sue all of those doctors? What do you all think? I would hope so.
The photo on the left shows Gypsy as we have seen her. On the right, her mugshot. Totally different. This unfolding story is full of mystery, deception, and raising more questions from detectives and those close to the Blanchards.
Team coverage starts right now with Linda Russell outside the Blanchard's house with the latest from the neighbors there. Linda?
Well, the crime scene tape is up here still for a third day in a row as investigators continue collecting evidence here. But new shock today in this close-knit neighborhood for all those who knew the Blanchards as wonderful people. Now they don't know what to believe.
I don't know what's truth from lie.
No one in the neighborhood could comprehend how anyone would want to harm Dee Dee Blanchard and her handicapped daughter, Gypsy.
I thought they were nice and kind and, you know, loving people.
Sweet, loving, caring, just full of life and happiness.
Things are not always as they appear.
No doubt. No doubt there, officer. Because I imagine they were shocked as hell when they said this girl is handicapped, she's wheelchair bound, and they were like, no, she's not. Beth said, is there actually anything wrong with Gypsy? No. From her interview with Dr. Phil, not a dang thing. Nothing. Nothing. Imagine finding out her real age. Things started clicking for her. She obviously chose the wrong path. Oh, AWolf. Good point. If they had insurance, Medicaid, that can be seen as insurance fraud too. Well, can't do anything with Dee Dee. She's 6 foot under. But yeah, you're right.
Investigators say the awful Facebook posts that tipped off friends that something was wrong were actually authored by Gypsy herself. She told investigators she knew her boyfriend, Nicholas Godejohn, was going to kill her mother, and she did nothing to stop it. Godejohn told detectives that Gypsy gave him the knife and asked him to kill her mom. Court documents say they cleaned up some of the blood, then took a cab away from the house.
We know that they were here in Springfield for at least probably 1 to 2 days after the murder had taken place.
The other shock to those who thought they knew Gypsy is that she doesn't need a wheelchair.
I've never seen her out of her wheelchair. It's like that's unheard of.
Up there was no wheelchair taken. She's carrying her own luggage.
The pair was arrested in Wisconsin after a standoff. They'd taken a bus to get there. Investigators say they've also uncovered a long history of financial fraud by the mother and daughter. Debbie says she once gave Dee Dee money to help cover bills.
I'm disappointed, and I think a lot of people, you know.
Yeah, like this woman, she's got her own kids to raise. She has her own children to raise, and she's giving friggin' Dee Dee money for bills? Okay, excuse me. Fun fact, when Gypsy and Nick left, they took $4,000 with them. $4,000. That's how much money Dee Dee had been stashing.
To be, you know, frauding people.
This is a tragic event surrounded by mystery and public deception.
Of course, the news of Gypsy's alleged involvement in the crime is the biggest shock of them all.
No mother deserves to be murdered like that. No mother deserves that.
The sheriff did not go into a motive, but says he believes there will be enough evidence to paint a picture at the trial. Investigators say they'll likely be on the scene here for one more day. Live in Greene County, Linda Russell, KY3 News.
Thanks, Linda. Here's what we know about Nicholas Godejohn, the man who was arrested with Gypsy and charged with Dee Dee's murder. He lives in Big Bend, Wisconsin, in the house where he and Gypsy were both arrested yesterday. Godejohn also has a criminal past. In 2013, he was arrested after investigators say he was watching pornography and fondling himself in a McDonald's restaurant for 9 hours.
Yeah, you heard that right. I wonder if it's the same McDonald's that Grandis's brother Warren got caught at. You know, he got in trouble after he got released at a McDonald's. Watching porn at McDonald's and fondling himself for 9 hours. Who would have the energy? 9 hours. I understand they don't pay a lot of attention at McDonald's, but how did you miss that for 9 whole hours? Did he, how many cheeseburgers did he have while this was going on? Who the hell hangs out at the McDonald's for 9 hours and plays with their damn self? Yeah, you heard that right.
Thanks, Linda. Here's what we know about Nicholas Godejohn, the man who was arrested with Gypsy and charged with Dee Dee's murder. He lives in Big Bend, Wisconsin, in the house where he and Gypsy were both arrested yesterday. Godejohn also has a criminal past. In 2013, he was arrested after investigators say he was watching pornography and fondling himself in a McDonald's restaurant for 9 hours. Police charged.
That's a lot of McNuggets, my friends. That's a lot of McNuggets.
Him with carrying a concealed weapon after finding a large knife during the arrest. Lisa?
So how do investigators say Godejohn got to the Ozarks and helped Gypsy commit the crime? KY3's Jahan Sheikh joins us from the Greyhound Terminal in East Kearney with more on that. Jahan?
Lisa, authorities believe that Gypsy's boyfriend, Nicholas Godejohn, arrived here in Springfield from Big Bend, Wisconsin on a Greyhound bus. Now, there's no official timeline, but authorities believe a short time after Godejohn stabbed Dee Dee, Gypsy's mother, they both, Gypsy and Godejohn, hopped on a Greyhound bus back to Wisconsin. Now, authorities say that no one would have recognized Gypsy because both of her looks and her alleged illnesses were deceiving.
Deception down to Dee Dee and Gypsy's last name.
Her last name is not Blanchard. It's Blanchard with no E.
An E that family friend Brittany Hansen says Dee Dee added when she and Gypsy moved to Springfield. Brittany knew the Blanchards when they lived in South Louisiana.
She was very friendly. She was very sweet. You know, that I don't believe to be untrue. She was very sweet. You know, I called her Aunt Dee Dee. But at the same time, you only know what she told you.
And what's being uncovered about the lives of Dee Dee and Gypsy don't seem to add up.
I know that when she moved to Missouri in 2007, she said that Gypsy was 12, which is not true.
A lot of neighbors seem to believe Gypsy's long list of medical issues had her in a wheelchair, which authorities have now uncovered as untrue.
She can walk without assistance or a wheelchair, and she can do that very well.
A part of a plan Brittany believes Dee Dee orchestrated to get money. When Dee Dee was younger, she went about getting money a different way.
Her father had mentioned to my mother on an occasion that Dee Dee had stolen her mother's ID and name and tried to open some credit cards with it.
Regardless, she says it's hard to believe Gypsy turned on her mother.
Even if you know someone as much as you think you do, that you know them as well as possibly can be, they can still surprise you. So to find that this little girl had brutally orchestrated her mother's murder is really hard to swallow.
Now, a lot of people trying to comprehend all of this information. Now, a reporter that I'm in close contact with in Wisconsin says, like you said, Steve, that Gypsy cried the entire time during the court hearing this afternoon. Reporting in Springfield, Jahan Sheikh, KY3 News.
One of the strangest aspects of this case, Sheriff Jim Arnott says, the Blanchards were involved in con jobs lasting several years across several states. KY3's Eric Hild is on the paper trail tonight.
Oh, the con jobs are out of this world. Now, let me ask you guys, we have discussions here. Do you think that Gypsy is in any way, shape, or form, you tell me, responsible for the con job? Put a 1 if you say, yeah, she knew better. 2, nope, she was under her mother's control.
And Eric, what do we know about some of the places they've been?
Steve, we're hearing that the Blanchard scammed many different charities and lied to many different charities across the U.S., including churches and support groups in Louisiana, and even lying to Children's Hospital in Kansas City. Coming up tonight at 10 o'clock and at 9 o'clock, we'll share more of those places the two are accused of scamming and how a longtime family friend is reacting to these shocking accusations. Steve?
Thanks, Eric. Perhaps the biggest gift the Blanchards received once they moved to Springfield, home ownership.
How'd they do that? Contact KY3's Ashley Reynolds sat down.
And people were lined up to bring furniture, groceries, you name it. And let me tell you, Dee Dee made the rounds. It's not like she just kept going to the same hospital. She spread the love, if you know what I mean. She was trying to get her into the Cleveland Clinic at one point. And I don't know how this woman lived with herself. I have no idea, knowing that there is nothing wrong with her daughter. Not only was what she was doing to Gypsy horrible, but what she was doing to the doctors, the communities she lived in, her own family, Gypsy's daddy, disgusting.
One-on-one with Habitat for Humanity.
Our mission is a place where everyone has a decent place to live. Are there folks that try and take advantage? Show me a business where there isn't.
Larry Peterson was not with Habitat for Humanity when the Blanchards moved in 2008.
It just proves that happy endings are not just in fairy tales, they're real.
It's quite a filtering system before somebody's accepted.
The Blanchards were approved and got through the door.
Habitat doesn't give away homes. There's a very specific process that people apply for to become a Habitat homeowner.
Habitat homeowners pay a zero-interest mortgage. Different committees verify family income and conduct home visits.
If they make too little, they wouldn't be able to pay us back. If they make too much, they'd be eligible for a conventional loan.
Do you think this current situation might lead to reevaluating your application process?
I think it's too early to tell. I don't really want to speculate on that. Right now, we're comfortable with the process. Habitat for Humanity has been around since 1976. And this is the first one of these that I've ever heard of out of the 500,000 people that we have helped. I'd be afraid of letting the tail wag the dog.
And Peterson would not discuss specifics about the case and says he only knows what we are reporting. Habitat for Humanity did give documents to the Greene County Sheriff's Office. Now, before you donate, check a charity. Go to this website. It's charitynavigator.org. You can plug in the charity and see how much money of every dollar goes to the cost. Also, a word of caution tonight. Be careful of those GoFundMe websites. Anyone can set up those, and it's really hard to verify where your money is going.
Ashley Reynolds.
Yeah, absolutely. But when the girl is talking like she's 5 and she's in a wheelchair, that's quite an act. Speaking of act, there is a movie. There's several. You can catch a lot of stuff on this. It's called The Act. It was on Hulu. And my understanding is money from books and stuff like that has been accumulated over the years. And so she's going to have some money when she gets out. I don't know how much. But, I mean, she's been busy in jail. She got married. Yes, she got married. She's had quite a few pen pals while she was in there. Gone to school. I know that she was working on a degree at one time. She married this dude. He's from Louisiana. There they are. There's the marriage license. There's their picture at the jail. Another picture at the jail. It says Gypsy Rose Blanchard is married from prison. She married Ryan Scott Anderson from Lake Charles, Louisiana on July 21st. Gypsy is about 6 years through her 10-year prison sentence for the murder of her mother, Dee Dee. Gypsy is now 30 years old. I understand now she's 32. And her husband is 36. She is currently being held at the, I can't pronounce that, in Missouri, and could be paroled as early as December of 2023. Yep, that's go time. That's go time. Wow. Wow. Check this out. Now I think we have a whole nother poll.
Update in one of Missouri's highest profile crime stories, Gypsy Rose Blanchard has officially tied the knot with a man from Louisiana despite still being behind bars, serving time for her involvement with the murder of her mother, Dee Blanchard. Public records show Blanchard married Ryan Anderson. According to InTouchWeekly.com, Blanchard's family friend says she was dating multiple men from her cell. Blanchard is currently serving a 10-year prison sentence. She's anticipating a parole hearing in December.
Yep. Woo. Gonna be united with the husband. She is getting out in December. Here's what they have to say about that.
It was probably one of the most interesting cases where it takes twisted turns that you wouldn't know that was going to happen.
Gypsy.
I don't think the authorities in Big Bend, Wisconsin or Springfield, Missouri were ready for this at all.
Rose Blanchard will be granted early release for her role in the killing of her mother. The Springfield murder case gained national attention back in 2015 when years of deception and abuse were revealed. Color 10's Carissa Codell is live in Greene County after speaking with Sheriff Jim Arnott.
And Gypsy's parole is expected to begin on December 28th of this year. Now, if you remember back in 2016, Gypsy pleaded guilty to murder and was sentenced to the minimum of 10 years in prison.
I want to start off with saying things are not always as they appear.
One of Springfield's most infamous criminal cases, the murder of Claudine Dee Blanchard. Dee's daughter, Gypsy, will be released from prison early after 8.5 years behind bars.
But it is such a story of deception and lies and someone that has like fallen through the cracks, the family that's fallen through the cracks.
Greene County Sheriff Jim Arnott believes the deal Gypsy struck with prosecutors was too lenient.
From my perspective, she was the mastermind behind the murder of her mother.
Woo! So the sheriff is saying no, she took the plea deal, but she needs to sit there the whole 10 years. Now, again, had she rolled the dice, the jury might have just totally acquitted her. There's a lot of heartstrings for Gypsy when they explain what all she's been through. That is for sure. Or they might have said guilty, and then the judge would have given her more than likely life in prison. But the sheriff's like, no, keep her ass there for the 10 years.
If she served the 85%, then it is what it is. She did her time.
It was revealed by Gypsy's attorneys that she was subjected to abuse, like being forced to stay in a wheelchair and be on medication for conditions she didn't have.
We also know that she can walk without assistance or a wheelchair, and she can do that very well.
After years of abuse fueled by suspected Munchausen by proxy, Gypsy and her boyfriend, Nicholas Godejohn, crafted a plan that ended with Godejohn stabbing Dee in the back 17 times.
Dee inflicted a lot of this torture on her also, of giving her medications that will make her teeth fall out and all those things that you read. It's a sad case from both sides.
Sheriff Arnott says he has conflicting emotions when it comes to this case.
She was a victim of a lot of things and things that she could not control.
And you can find in-depth investigations through the many stories that we've done on our website, ozarksfirst.com. Just go there.
It is a lot to sort through for sure. Bobby, Ohio, welcome to the family. Bobby is now a new YouTube member. Welcome, welcome, my friend. Check the members tab because anytime we're going to have a members live, I post it on there because not everybody always gets their notification. Now let's get to Gypsy in her own words. This is when she took the stand, obviously before she took the plea deal.
There's water there for you. Here's a fresh bottle of water for you if you do. Okay. All right. Get settled in. Are we ready for the jury? Yes, Judge. All right. Okay, bring the jury on. You can stand. All rise. Please be seated. Mr. Perry, do you have a witness you wish to call?
Gypsy Rose, Judge.
Ms. Blanchard, would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give in the cause now pending before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. Sir?
Please tell us your name.
Gypsy R. Blanchard.
What do you go by?
Gypsy.
Okay. Gypsy, could you speak up just a bit? I'm having a little trouble hearing you.
Better?
That chair won't move. If you can hold the microphone if you want to take it out. Just lift it straight out.
There you go.
Is that better?
That's much better. How old are you?
27.
Where were you born?
Graceland, Louisiana.
Where were you living in the summer of 2015, in June of 2015?
Springfield, Missouri.
Do you remember the address?
I don't remember now. I'm sorry.
She's very fluid for someone that her mother had convinced everybody she had the mind of a 5-year-old. She knows how old she is now because she was very confused about it for quite a while. Again, imagine having your 4th birthday and then the next year you're having your 3rd birthday.
How long had you lived at that address in Springfield?
About 7 years.
And prior to that, where did you live?
Slidell, Louisiana.
And when did you move to Missouri?
In 2005.
And who did you move to Missouri with?
My mother,
And what was her name?
Claudina Blanchard.
Did she go by any other names?
Dee.
So if I say Dee, you don't know who I'm talking about?
Yes, sir.
Do you know a Nicholas Godejohn?
Yes, sir.
And when did you meet Nicholas Godejohn?
In October of 2012.
How did you meet him?
On an online Christian dating website.
Do you remember the name of that site?
ChristianDatingForFree.com.
Now, the fact this is the guy that was playing with himself while watching porn at the local McDonald's for 9 hours. Very odd that he's on a Christian dating site, because he gives a whole new thought in our head to secret sauce.
How old were you when you met? Yeah.
About 21.
In June of 2015, what did you consider your relationship to Nick to be? What kind of relationship?
We were boyfriend, girlfriend.
And when did you become boyfriend and girlfriend?
In October 2012.
When did you first meet Nick in person?
March of 2015.
So between October of 2012 and March of 2015, you hadn't actually met Nick in person?
That is correct.
What type of relationship did you have during that period of time?
Online relationship.
And by online, what do you mean?
Strictly communicating through Facebook.
Any other ways other than Facebook?
Instant text messaging, emails.
All by way of computer and cell phones?
Yes, sir.
Did you send videos to each other?
Yes, sir.
Prior to March of 15, when you indicated you met Mr. Godejohn for the first time in person, had your mother met him?
No, sir.
Did she know he existed?
No, sir.
Why is it she didn't know?
Because it was a secret relationship and my mother would never allow me to have a boyfriend.
Why not?
Because she controlled every aspect of my life.
Did you and Nick ever talk about the fact?
Well, she understood that. She understood that. She said, because she controlled every aspect of my life. So this is when we get into fight or flight. Now, obviously, she could have used that computer to reach out to authorities and say, this is what's going on. But she didn't make that decision. She did not make that decision. We do know that. If the movie is true to life, the movie, The Act, she was caught on the computer one time. And then she was basically handcuffed to the bed.
That you were not allowed to date?
Yes.
How many times do you think?
I don't remember.
Did you and your mother ever have any discussions about whether you were ever going to be able to date?
Yes, sir.
Did you and Nick talk about that?
We may have.
What did your mother say about your ability to date going forward?
She said that it would never happen, that she would never allow it.
What about marriage? Did you and Nick ever talk about marriage?
Yes.
Did you and your mother ever discuss whether or not you'd be able to get married someday?
Yes.
What did she tell you?
She said that she wouldn't allow it.
In June of 2015, were you in a wheelchair?
Yes.
Did Nick know you were in a wheelchair?
Yes.
Why were you in a wheelchair in June of 2015?
Because my mother forced me to be in one.
Do you know why you were forced to be in a wheelchair?
No, sir. She just forced me to be in one.
And how long had you been in a wheelchair as of June of 2015?
Since probably I was about 8 years old.
Was there a time between when you first were put in a wheelchair and June of 2015 that you figured out that you really didn't need to be in a wheelchair?
Yes.
When was that?
I always knew that I didn't need the wheelchair.
And how did you know that?
Because I could walk.
This gave me chills. I'm going to turn she's very soft-spoken, but she's not talking like a baby like she used to. She knew the act. But this gave me chills when I first heard it. She said, because I could walk. I could walk. She told one of the detectives that when her mother was asleep, because she was known to take things to make her sleep deeper, she would eat. She was told she was allergic to sugar, aren't we all? And so she would eat whatever she wanted. She'd walk around the house. She'd do whatever she wanted. Yeah, that gave me chills.
Did you and your mother obtain any kind of advantage by you being in a wheelchair?
Yes, sir.
What kind of advantage did you obtain?
Financial, attention, charity.
Financially mean money.
Yes, sir.
Did you obtain money as a result of you being in a wheelchair?
Yes, sir.
How did that work out? How did that happen?
Judge, I'm going to object to the relevance of that. There's been no connection that the defendant knew any of this.
Well, I'm assuming, Ms. Perry, you're going to tie this up.
Well, right now. Did you and Nick ever talk about the fact that you didn't need to be in a wheelchair?
Yes.
Did you ever talk to him about why you were required to be in a wheelchair?
Yes.
I'll overrule the objection.
Could you tell the jury why it is that you obtained money as a result of being in a wheelchair?
Because people felt sorry for me.
And they would do what?
And Judge, I'm just going to get the general relevance at this point.
I'll allow it for the time being. You may answer, ma'am.
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
Asked you why you attained an advantage for being in a wheelchair. You said people gave me money. And I think my next question was, why did they give you money?
Because they felt sorry for me. They believed the lie. They believed the fraud.
When did you tell Nick about the wheelchair? That you being in a wheelchair?
I think maybe a month or so after we met.
When did you tell Nick that you didn't need to be in a wheelchair?
A year into our relationship.
So if your relationship began in October of 2012, it would have been sometime in 2013 that you first told him that you really didn't need to be in a wheelchair.
That is correct.
Were you ill during this period of time?
No, sir.
Did you ever tell Nick that you were ill or that you had illnesses?
I told him that I had illnesses, yes, sir.
Did you ever tell him that you really weren't ill?
Yes, sir.
When did you tell him you really weren't ill?
The same time that I told him that I didn't need to be in the wheelchair.
What illnesses did you believe you had?
Cancer, muscular dystrophy. I needed glasses. I needed hearing aids. Seizure disorder. And I can't remember what else.
And when did you figure out that you weren't actually sick?
I started to piece things together when I was about 19 years old. Then I didn't understand the full extent of how healthy I was until after I got arrested.
So even at the time, even as of June of 2015, you still believed you had some of the illnesses?
Yes, sir.
She believed she had all of these things wrong with her. One video, because Dee Dee did take a lot of videos of her, she was getting ready to go get her new smile, okay? She had all her teeth pulled. She has dentures. She has dentures.
Did you ever run away?
Yes, sir.
When did you, and by run away I mean from your mother,
Yes, sir.
when did you run away?
In the spring of 2011.
Did you tell Nick about that?
Yes, sir.
When did you tell Nick about that?
I don't remember the exact time.
Was it before your mother's murder?
Yes.
Did you ever consider running away after that? After you ran away in 2011?
Yes, but I knew that it would end badly.
What happened when you ran away? Tell us about running away in 2011.
It was in the middle of the night, and I packed a small bag of stuff, and my mother went to sleep, so I left the house, and I met up with one of my friends.
And where did you go?
To first at Mercy Hospital in Springfield, and then to his house.
And at some point, did your mom figure out where you were?
Yes, sir.
And when was that?
4 hours later,
What happened when your mother figured out where you were?
she took me back home. She smashed my computer and my cell phone. She chained me to a bed for 2 weeks.
Did you ever tell Nick about all that?
Yes,
The only time you ran away?
Yes.
Did you receive any other physical abuse as a result of running away other than what you already told the jury?
Yes.
What other abuse?
Hitting, punching, starvation.
Did you tell Nick everything that had happened between you and your mother during the course of your relationship with him?
Most, but not all.
All the stuff we've talked about is stuff you actually did tell him,
Yes.
and stuff he knew as of June of 2015.
Yes.
And when did you tell him these things? All at once or over a period of time?
Over a period of time.
Beginning at what point in the relationship?
He knew since day one that my mother never allowed me to date.
Okay, so this is a different level here. All right. Hitting, punching, she chained her to the bed. We already know about all the lies. She didn't even know her real age. We know about the invasive medical procedures, which are crazy that all of that happened. But also controlling her food. Controlling her food. When someone's hungry, they're hungry. This poor girl had a feeding tube as a child.
But I don't remember exactly when I told them every single little detail that was going on in my home life.
But you did tell him everything you did tell him by the time of June of 2015.
Yes, sir.
I assume since you believed you to be sick, you met regularly with doctors.
Yes, sir.
Did you also meet with social workers? Do you remember that?
No, sir, I don't remember.
Why didn't you tell your doctors that you didn't really think you needed to be in a wheelchair?
Judge, I'll object to the relevance of that. That's outside the scope of the knowledge that the defendant would have.
Mr. Kramer?
Judge, I think it is relevant. It goes to, it really goes to why this whole thing happened. The fact that, I'm glad to explain it, but I really don't know we should explain it on the record.
Yeah. Can we go back into it?
I'm going to allow it for the time being. Let's not get too far afield here. Do you need the question repeated, please?
Yes, please.
If you'd repeat it.
I would be glad to. Why did you not tell doctors that you knew you could walk or you didn't believe yourself to be ill during the time that you were doing this?
I didn't think that anyone would believe me. I thought they would eventually tell my mom, and that would make my home life even worse for me. I feared her more than I feared anyone else.
Where's your father during this time?
Louisiana.
Did you ever talk to your father while you were in Missouri?
It's a complicated answer.
Did you ever speak to him on the phone?
I did, but my mother was always present.
Did you ever tell him what was going on?
No, sir.
Now, earlier you told us you met Nick for the first time in person in March of 2015. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And where did you meet him in person?
A Springfield movie theater.
What movie?
Cinderella.
How is it you were able to meet with Nick in March of 2015?
I paid for his transportation, his lodging to get there.
Why did you pay for it?
I didn't think he'd have enough money.
And you say you met him at the Cinderella movie. And was your mother present?
Yes.
Did you and Nick talk that night?
Yes.
How did that work out?
It didn't go well at all. My mother hated him from the moment they met.
Did you guys watch this movie together?
Yes.
Did your relationship change in any way that day?
Yes.
How?
We got to see each other in person for the first time.
Did it become physical that night?
Yes.
And you know what I mean by physical, don't you?
Yes.
What do I mean?
We had sexual relations
And where?
in the bathroom stall of the men's bathroom.
What was the point of you and Nick meeting up during the Cinderella movie? Were you guys trying to do something?
Yes.
What?
I was trying to introduce him to my mom so my mother would allow me to date.
You said that didn't go well.
No, sir.
Now, where did Nick live?
In Wisconsin with his mother.
Did you and Nick ever talk about any disabilities he may have?
Yes.
What disabilities did you understand him to have?
Asperger's syndrome.
Did you even know what that was?
No, sir.
Okay, so he has some issues of his own. The argument by the DA has always been, regardless of what she told him, regardless of his own issues, he helped plan it. He definitely did it. 17 stab wounds. And he covered it up. He lied to the police, so he continued to cover it up. Dina, I agree. The fact that she had Gypsy's saliva glands removed is just sick. The hell is wrong with all these doctors? I don't understand it. If it was one doctor or maybe two, I would be like, they're idiots. But it's several. This wasn't a one-stop shop type of deal. There is another case, I believe it's in Colorado, where the mother, I have to find the case, where the mother was doing the same thing. And I want to say it's the grandfather of the little girl now that's suing the hospital. I'll have to find the case.
Now, you indicated that you paid for this trip to Missouri by Nick in 2015. What all did you pay for?
I paid for the Greyhound bus ticket. I paid for the hotel and for eating money.
And how did you pay for this? How did you get the money to Nick?
I stole the money from my mother and I sent it to him via the mail.
Gypsy, if you wouldn't mind speaking up just a bit.
Yes,
Get more soft.
Sorry.
I think you said you put it in the mail?
Yes, sir.
In what form was the money?
Cash.
Do you know how much you sent him that time?
I don't know the exact amount. Probably about $800.
I've always had a question about this. Not that Dee Dee was in on it, but Dee Dee is such a control freak. How did she not realize that $800 was missing? You got a couple of ones missing out of your wallet. It's one thing. But $800? I think I would notice that. Damn.
And how would you get the money how would you steal the money from your mother?
She kept it in a money pouch.
What were your feelings for Nick in the spring of 2015?
I loved him.
Was there a point in this relationship that you considered yourself, that is you and Nick, to be more than just boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yes.
When was that?
We had plans to marry.
Any other plans for your future at that point?
We planned to have kids. Yes.
Did you do anything to prepare for having children with Nick?
Yes.
What did you do?
I stole baby clothes and things for a child.
And how would you steal baby clothes?
I was in the wheelchair, so I would steal them from Walmart.
And where would your mother be when you did this?
She would have been in a different aisle or a different section of the store.
And was she aware of any of this?
No, sir.
At some point, you decided to kill your mother, is that correct?
Yes.
When was that?
Thoughts of it started a year prior to the murder actually happening.
Whose idea was it to kill your mother?
Mine.
Why did you want to kill your mother?
Because I wanted to be free of her hold on me.
Did you and Nick ever talk about this?
Yes,
Who initially brought up killing your mother?
I did.
Why not just tell somebody rather than kill your mother? Why was that not an option?
I truly didn't believe that nobody would believe me if I told anyone. My mother had legal documents in place saying that I was incompetent, and I thought that meant that if I went to anyone, the police, or told anyone, she would just have them convinced that I was making everything up.
At some point after you initially considered killing your mother, did you ever change your mind?
Yes,
Do you know when that was?
about 2 weeks before it happened.
Why did you change your mind and decide not to kill her?
I started having doubts, second thoughts.
Did you ever then change your mind back to the initial decision to kill her?
Yes,
Why did you change your mind back to killing her?
my mother and I got into an argument 2 days prior to the murder occurring. And Nick asked me, are we still doing this? Am I still, coming there to do this? Yes or no? And I said yes.
Who talked you into killing your mother?
I did. I talked him into it.
During the time you and Nick were together, did you ever engage in fantasies or role playing or anything like that?
Yes,
Did you have names?
yes.
Tell us about the names you utilized.
Ruby, Candy, Kitty, Bella, Demona.
Why did you have different alter egos?
I made them up because he told me that he had various alter egos. And so I created mine to fit the ones with his.
And who came up with your names?
I did.
And do they each represent a different type of person?
Yes.
Was this real?
It was fantasy.
Who is Demona?
She's a character that I came up with.
And what was the character?
She's half werewolf and half human.
Who is Kitty?
She's like a childlike girl.
Ruby?
She's my evil side.
And what about Candy?
She's more of the slutty side of me.
Did you also have wigs?
Yes,
And why did you have wigs?
to change the different hair colors of the characters, and because I didn't have any hair at the time.
And why did you not have hair?
My mother would shave off my hair and tell people I had cancer.
Was any of this stuff non-consensual on your part? The personalities?
No,
Now, you mentioned the idea to kill your mother came out about a year before it happened.
yes, sir.
And what was going on in your home life that made you reach the point where you did that or made that decision?
I was growing increasingly desperate to get out of my home life.
Did you tell Nick that?
Yes,
And what was your mom doing that caused you to be more desperate?
things were getting physically and more physically abusive. the hitting was more. The starving was more.
Now, you mentioned you were in a wheelchair. Were you required to act any certain way when you were in a wheelchair?
Yes, sir.
How was that?
She would have me stay very quiet and pretend like I couldn't walk.
Mr. Perry, can we pause for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, let's sit for a second.
Well, I mean, she's gaining sympathy for herself from the jury, but not so much for Nick. And I misspoke earlier. This is not hers. She took a plea deal. This is Nick's trial. This is Nick's trial. So, I kind of think they went a little too far into all of that because, as we know, old Nick got life in prison, but they did not pursue the death penalty. They did not pursue the death penalty. All right, this is interesting with Nick. We're going to go through this. This is from Crime for Dummies. They have done amazing work on this case. I'm going to put the link in the chat, and I'll put it in the description so you can check out their other work. She got a phone call, a prison interview with Nick. And, well, it's something else.
What exactly happened
That's
when you
only
came
to what, of
inside
course,
the
is
house?
true,
Like, did
but,
Gypsy
yeah.
open the door to you and like let you in? Like, she was obviously.
Oh yeah, she was deeply involved with it. I mean, just like it says in his plea statements, like I said, right with while I was talking to them, it says just pretty much word for word what I told them. She told me before I ended up getting there in a text that there was latex gloves that be on the porch. She did say that right on the text is clear as day that you can actually see it. And then, well, I ended up finding them when I got there, and I let her know that I was at the door. She opened the door, and she made sure I had the gloves on before she gave me the weapon, and she made sure that she wouldn't let me open the door. She made sure I had those gloves on before either of those doors opened.
Now, that changes a lot. So she knows he's at the door. She has the weapon. She makes sure he has the gloves on. Well, either way, he still went through with it.
So that's the reason why you ain't gonna see any fingerprints on in either any of that stuff. And then from that point on, well, my darker part of me took over, and because she knew right away that I admitted straight out to the whole thing that I was not going to get involved with this, no matter how much she tried to push me. It was going to have to be a darker side of me of some form that I have never had the opportunity to explore. So I did not know what it was capable of until that dark night. Once that night came, I knew fully well what it was capable of. And at that point, there was no time going back because from the first step I walked into the house, I knew there was no coming back. There was two thoughts that came in my mind. One was a benevolent thought, another one was a malevolent thought. It was almost like having a devil on one shoulder and a angel on the other.
Yeah, I hope he has medication in jail. He looks like the Unabomber's grandson. All right. They're not really, he's not getting those Sarah Boone County haircuts and shaves.
Basically, what happened was I had one thought in my mind out of nowhere appear, and it just appeared. I didn't know. It was almost like, I guess you could call it God, is what everyone likes to call it. Him talking to you, or an angel talking to you through him, maybe. Basically saying, take her and run. That was the benevolent thought. Take her and run. As if it was the kind of feeling that it was basically trying to influence on me as if I was somehow going to get away with it if I ran away with her. As if somehow we were able to keep her mom at bay better than she was able to in the past when she ran away. However, the other thought came in my mind was because it saw as basically because the darker part of me was also in love with the darker part of her. And because of it, the thought was excuse my French, but it basically said this bitch is dead. Not letting her get between me and her. This bitch is dead. Basically, is what the thought was. And uh, unfortunately, I ended up listening to my darker side because I wanted to be with her, and I remember what she said, and I wanted to believe what she was saying, and unfortunately, I should have listened to my other part of me. Ironic as I was trying to influence her to go with, but she never went with it. She never wanted to run away, so I couldn't get that to work. But anyways, as the whole thing happened, she ended up as I was walking through the hallway that led to her room, her mom's room, and so forth. She ended up going to the bathroom. She locked it, and I waited at least a minute and thought about if I really wanted to do it. And before I was to do it, allegedly, I was willing to do it. The next thing I know, I ended up going right into it and thought there was no going back because I had myself on my word, and I was not one to break my word to really anyone at all if I had one to keep at the time. If it was worth keeping, I was going to keep it. And that's what led me
Nick,
to
the
do
video
it.
is going to cut off in a minute.
I loved her so
but
deeply that
remember
I was
whatever
not going
you
to change
just
my
did
mind.
to that thing.
I
and should we
didn't
try
want to
again
break my word.
tomorrow?
Okay, and that's all she got because obviously it's limited how long you can talk to somebody that's in the jail. Wiz said they wouldn't have gotten far with 800. No, that was enough to get him down there. They took 4,000 when they left. So that's what they were living on. It's absolutely insane. And I see we have a lot of different comments, a lot of different opinions in here. I love them all. Hang on, I'm going to put the link up if anybody wants to come up and tell me what they think. Yeah, he doesn't have a really, really high IQ. But according to the powers that be that prosecuted, they said, but he traveled on his own from Wisconsin to Springfield. He helped plan the murder. And he covered it up because even when confronted, he continued to lie and come up with different stories. Yeah, that was quite an awkward phone call. Whew. Not gonna lie, that would have freaked me out. Lily said, didn't she tell the girl across the street from her? Yes, there is someone that she confided in. And I don't know if she, well, obviously she was waiting for someone to come save her. Dee Dee seemed to be quite the snake oil salesman. She knew how to convince people. Even had Gypsy convinced. Even when Gypsy knew there was nothing wrong with her, she was still going through all of these crazy, crazy procedures. Saliva glands taken out. Saliva glands. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Well, we have 2 new members today. Tracy Michelle and Bobby Ohio. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the family. So glad you're here. Like I said, always check out the community tab. There should be one for members. I don't know what it looks like on your side, where I keep everybody as best I can up to date because we do have a lot of members' lives. Tiffany, malpractice case. That's what I'm wondering. When she's released in December, is she going to be able to sue all those doctors and hospitals for unnecessary treatments? Insurance company, You can forget that noise. They don't care. They want their money. That's it. They want their money. It being Medicaid, though, I don't know how that works. But guys, this has been a great show. Thank you for going through it with me. Loved your opinions. Love how we fought through all of this stuff, because it is nuts. Never going to see a case like this again. Well, knock on wood. Because it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. But there are other mothers that continue to do this. But it seems like the bar is a little higher with the Gypsy Rose case, because doctors are really on the lookout for this now. When someone keeps presenting to the doctor over and over and over and over again with crazy diseases, they're catching on more now. So we'll see how Gypsy does when she gets out around Christmas time, and if she's going to be on social media, write a book. What is she going to do? Hell, with our luck, she'll have a YouTube channel. Who knows? You never know. But you guys are the absolute best chat, best community on YouTube. Thank you so much to the mods. We have a new moderator today. I finally remembered to give Trev his wrench. Go me. Go me. Woo. And I will see you guys. We might have another show this afternoon. It depends on how my afternoon shakes out. If not, I will see you back here tomorrow morning. Same time, same place, 9 a.m. Central. You guys are the absolute best. Thank you so much.